Hi there, and thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of your Wheel and Anchor weekly newsletter. We're in the process of putting together a bit of a research piece, yet another one, this time about our predictions for travel in the post-COVID-19 era. And I'm sure you've read articles in various publications and you've heard opinions from others in the travel industry and the media in general about what people anticipate is going to happen to travel. And there's a lot of speculation, and let's be honest, nobody really knows. In anticipation of this piece that we're going to put out in the next couple of weeks, I just wanted to mention a couple of topics that we are looking into and that I think that you should be mindful of, particularly if you're planning to do any travel in the latter part of this year as we segue from this long period of lockdown and this long period where we've been unable to travel into hopefully some degree of normalcy. First of all, I think we should anticipate that the reopening is going to happen in clusters as opposed to in waves. We've seen examples of that in other parts of the world. If you look, for example, at Australia and New Zealand that opened up a travel bubble, and Hong Kong and Singapore did for a while. And countries are making deals or making arrangements with other countries that fit into what they consider a low risk profile. And I think that we'll see more of that. What we could anticipate in Canada is that will come in the form of the revised travel advisories that will happen. And I think Canada will pick a selective list. They'll go from a blanket advisory against all non-essential travel to dropping that down a level to simply having a general advisory, and that will open up the opportunity to be able to travel and to get travel insurance, which is of course the most important ramification of that travel advisory. That being said, I think that we can also anticipate, as a second point, that we will continue to see lockdowns, but they will likely be more isolated on more short notice. So as outbreaks continue to occur, and they are destined to continue to occur as the virus mutates and takes on new variants. Again, you're probably well read on the subject. It means that countries will have to act very quickly to resolve a problem by going into a lockdown phase on short notice, but probably in a more localized area as they continue with contact tracing and some of the other restrictions that have helped us mitigate this problem. So what does that mean for travelers? Of course, it means that, you know, the risk is going to be there invariably, that you may get stuck somewhere because an outbreak has occurred nearby, and it may impede you from traveling further. That's just something we're going to have to live with as travelers, I think, in the short term following this, because we'll either have the choice of waiting till it's literally all over, and I honestly don't think that is going to happen for some years to come. I think it's going to take a while to get this fully under control. And so we're just going to have to factor that in. And as good travelers, we're just going to have to say, well, that's just, sometimes we have to roll with the punches, as it were. Further to that point, the other issue that I wanted to raise, of course, is the requirements that countries will put on visitors, which is largely going to be either that you are vaccinated and certainly that you're going to have a negative PCR or similar test by entering the country. Once again, we've already seen that. I've attached in our list of interesting travel links an article that shows where Canadians can currently travel, either with a proof of a PCR test or a vaccination, or where there is a quarantine requirement still in place. And of course, the list is not very long right now of countries where entry is permitted without any restrictions. And I think, as I say, that as time goes on, that is going to be a requirement that you have one of those two things. And how will that be proven is probably by way of one of these digital passports that I've talked about in previous newsletters. The EU has rolled one out. There's already 7 countries that are issuing digital passports to their citizens for travel within the EU, and it'll be available across Europe by the 1st of July. And I'm hoping that that's a precedent that will be set for other places in the world. I know it's a controversial subject, but for those of us that are travelers and like the freedom of being able to go around the world, they're going to need to have a system to make the whole process of getting through immigration and a health check much more efficient than it currently is. So those are three of my initial thoughts on the subject of what we can expect for travel in the short term. And as I say, we're working on some of our other thoughts on the matter in consultation with our partners and our colleagues and friends from around the world. So on that note, I will just wanted to let you know next week we have no webinar scheduled. So after 13 in a row, we're taking a break for a week. We'll be returning on Thursday, July 17th with our newest 5x5 itinerary. That is to Germany and the Benelux countries. Benelux countries are Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. So I'm very excited to bring that program to you because, again, it epitomizes how I think a lot of people want to travel, slow travel, time to relax and enjoy things along the way. So join us for that. There's a link below to register for that webinar. And then a couple of weeks after that, on July the 7th, we'll be doing Tuscany. And I know there's been a tremendous amount of interest about our trip to Tuscany, our live-away there. We're going to be spending 2 weeks in Florence and 2 weeks in the lovely countryside. And so if you haven't registered already, I think that's going to be a sold-out webinar, so you might want to get on that. Again, the link is below. Take care. In the meantime, go out and get that second shot if you're eligible, if you can. The faster we all get it done, the faster we can get back to traveling. Look forward to catching up with you again next week. Take care in the meantime.